Hello again, everyone. This is Rubber Band, and I'm going to be showing you how to use my impressioning handle that some of you have purchased, and or if you're interested in purchasing, this is going to be a general setup video. This is not an impressioning tutorial. That comes later. This is going to be just setting up this tool and the various options that you have. For generation 1, this is generation 1 in that it came with 2 sleeves, 2 screws as a part of production. The second model will come with 1 sleeve and 1 screw as a part of the uniformity that I originally wanted. So I'm going to show first how I like to set it up. This is completely up to you, and I would encourage anyone to experiment with how they like things set up. I like to take the screws, and I like to have them just proud of flush. So you can see the surface in there. You can kind of see the screw heads. They raise a little bit against the backdrop there. So you can see it go up. So I have it just a little above that. You want to make sure that those are the same, because you want them to dig into the key blank at the same height. Okay. All right, so I've got that. Now I'm going to set up the screw. So the larger screw is what this was originally designed with, or at least designed for and came with, and then the uniform drive screw is what happened later. So here's what we've got. We've got our large sleeve, which is what is going to be part of the first part of this prep. So, all right, we've got our large sleeve, smaller sleeve over here, smaller screw. So here's how this is meant to be set up. Large screw. And we're going to slide this fiber washer up here. Then we're going to take the screw and then fiber washer. All right. Then we're going to take our large sleeve body. We're going to put the coped side against the handle body. So it's spring loaded, you can see. So now that I have these 2 screws over here, just proud, I like to pre-thread this on, which you can do by hand. So I like to suck that against the handle body from here. I like to have this up towards the top. You can have it in the middle if you want. This is just how I prefer it and how I tend to feel like I'm getting the best feedback. All right, so now we're going to take our screw here, and we're going to clamp it down. The large screw uses a 3/16 hex. The others do not. The others use a 1/8 drive, which I didn't like, but if you're not field impressioning or anything like that, it's perfectly fine to have 2 separate screws, or at least size screws, and have them different for the drive. So this is how it would look fully set up, especially if you are not, like I said, doing field impressioning or competing. This is not a competition setup unless you happen to have a very fancy hex tool that handles the large head as well as the 1/8 drive. So a lot of people aren't going to have that. I couldn't find one, even though I tried. So there is also chisel point, also known as high hold set screws that come with it. All right. So this is how it's set up like this. Not my preference, because I like to have a uniform drive size. So we're going to take this out. I've been spending a lot of time doing some testing with these finished versions to try to get, you know, the best sort of feedback that I can give to people. So I have noticed that you can also take these sleeves, the original sleeves, the big ones, use the small screw, and just feed that through there. And then you can use the 1/8 drive and thread it on there. Of course, it would be very beneficial if I just went into the right hole there. So, all right. So here's how I like to do it. I like to just tighten the screw down, then I'll rotate this and I will just push it in. And it doesn't really move like this. So this is how I use it. I don't take mine apart very often anymore. I just kind of leave it where I'm impressioning, but in the event that you want to change that, you can. All right, so the next setup, which is with the small screw, it is essentially a mirror of the larger screw setup, but with a couple of extra features. So since I do field impressioning, as in my day-to-day work as a locksmith, I kind of like to be able to carry an impressioning handle, which is what this was designed for, an everyday carry sort of impressioning handle. So the smaller sleeve works with the springs and the fiber washers. So you can just take this like so, put this in the smaller handle, get that to tuck in there. Shout out to Hazard or Not Sure, who is my machinist for these. He has done an excellent job in getting these up to a very high grade. I appreciate that very much. So, all right. So uniform drive size, small sleeve, really good. Secondary feature, and you can even use the blank clamp, or leave the blank clamped in here for this in case you need to go impression a key at a car or something. So what we'll do is we'll take the sleeve off here. Try and get all of our bits to stay on the threading. All right, it kind of worked. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it and we'll pipe this down the coped end and we will just thread this right on the back. And so this can be stored all in one piece. You don't lose any parts. I haven't found a way to successfully get the hex tool to fit on there, but look at that. All one piece. So this can go in, you know, your Carhartt's pocket or whatever like that. Excuse my speech impediment there. And yeah, just a uniform tool. Secondarily, if you like to have an extended handle and you don't feel like you need the sleeve up here, you can, you know, use your extra screws. And look, you've got a nice long grip and you can use this as a tension post. Or if you've got multiple 1/8 drive sizes, you can keep a uniform drive size. There's a lot of options here. I meant for this to be modular. So far, I'm having some pretty good success with ideas and getting them going. I encourage anybody else to reach out to me, let me know their ideas. This is kind of a niche market, you know, a custom modular impressioning handle. But, you know, it's either people tend to want to use vice grips or they want a impressioning grip that doesn't require tools, you know, like vice grips, mold grips, what have you. And then I bought a couple of other bits that I thought might be beneficial. So I bought a threaded rod with a knob turn. So, you know, if I really want extra reach, I can thread it into the back. So just some brief measurements for the sake of anybody who might want to know them. The threading is 1/4 they're imperial. For this handle, I have metric versions being made I wanted uniform drive size, so that's kind of why I had to stick with Imperial. That's the one failing of metric, is that I can't get screws that are set screws and machine screws to be the same drive size. So several options here. Let's see. Just trying to think while I've got the video going if there might be anything else that would be beneficial for folks to know. So what I was thinking is an adapter could be 3D printed for the back exclusively as sort of a handle extension, and then you could use another screw to clamp that on if you needed a sort of extension. A lot of competitive impressioners are very used to their setups, which might include an extended grip. Mine isn't that, but it can be. So it was designed in such a way as to encourage inventiveness, and some other folks who are probably smarter than I am can probably come up with some neat ideas for this. So I'm going to do another video shortly after this that will demonstrate how to use the grip in an impressioning or scenario, and that way I can show you how I tend to impression, at least be successful with this grip in particular. I have a lot of grips and I've used the same technique for all of them. Some people might not like my technique, but if you're experienced enough to have your own technique, then you can probably use yours for this. So I'm going to end this here. This was just a brief primer on how to get the impressioning grip set up. So I encourage everybody to try both sleeves if you got both sleeves, as well as maybe make some extensions or other bits. So it's something I'm very proud of. This has been kind of my labor of love. Impressioning is the one kind of lock sport thing that I give myself credit for being pretty all right at. I've impressioned some very difficult locks. I've impressioned some Medicos, Corbin Russwin Emhart with the rotating pins, you know, and I've got a lot of classroom hours, you might say, behind the impressioning grip. So this is it. So sorry about the rambling format here, but hopefully that gives you an idea on how to use the handle.